Clarksburg, West Virginia. 1975. A town baking under the summer sun, jukeboxes humming with Bowie and Bad Decisions. Portrait of an all-American family. Dave, Dee Dee and their two sons, David, Kevin and James Bradley, plus those other two. This was a family blessed. Two back-to-back male titans, Brad, and to a lesser extent, Kevin. Gods among neighborhood mortals. And then two others. A chick and a dude, I think, kind of unclear. Not the point. What is the point? This story is a sad indictment of the American dream, unraveling in real time. Elks Lodge, Clarksburg. A haze of cigarette smoke floats under the brass chandeliers. The house band plays a sleepy instrumental of Midnight at the Oasis in the corner. This night ended with a marriage and a family destroyed. But one of the brothers, Brad, established himself as the golden child, who was now the undisputed de facto leader of this family, who rose from the shattered wreckage and overcame all obstacles and trauma and became an undeniable force of nature. And obviously, a living legend. Brad's brother Kevin? Not so much. He wilted like a flower in the shadow of his brother's blinding radiance, and submitted like a harp seal to his by far superior brother's bloody seal club. And the other two random offspring of Dave and Dee. Their names escape me at the moment, but it might be Brittany and Larry, I think, were rendered inconsequential as usual, as they were just basically considered luggage at this point. For hurting their mother, Dave, in a desperate attempt and an obvious bribe to win back the love of his children, Kevin, Brad, and those other two, whose names still escape me? Bryce and Lauren, maybe? Anyway, buys them a go-kart. But the caveat is, it must remain hidden from sight in the garage, because Mom can never know anything about it. More betrayal. You think she knows? Kevin asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. If she knew, it wouldn't still be in one piece, Brad muttered. Come on, help me push, Brad whispered, glancing over his shoulder. The red go-kart rolled out slow across the oil-stained floor, its paint still shiny from the coat they'd snuck on last week. It smelled like gasoline, WD-40, and Triumph.
Smells like victory.
Not unlike Lieutenant Kilgore in Apocalypse Now. Brad boldly and bravely led the charge like Genghis Khan on crack and across Alexander Avenue and onto Musgrave Street, where they fired up the go-kart out of earshot of their underwiser mom. Next stop, the Staley United Methodist Church parking lot to meet friend John Westbrook and take turns driving this go-kart like the maniacs they all aspire to be. Except Kevin. He wants to be a florist. With gas running dangerously low, Brad, assuming command like any born leader would, dispatches John and Kevin to Rakiski's Exxon, located at the Milford Street Triangle of Death, with the solid steel cloak of confidence of Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn to get more gasoline. As Brad races the cart around the church parking lot, his heart and spirit are soaring at the majesty of youth, and he is thinking fondly of his two younger siblings at home. Brock and Lois, possibly? I know for sure one is taller than the other, but that's not important right now. As Brad's thoughts change to the two stooges, John, and to a lesser extent Kevin, and their chances of returning with the precious petroleum-based nectar that all dreams are made of. Almost simultaneously, while John, and to a lesser extent Kevin, are sizing up their odds of making it across the Milford Street Triangle of Death alive. Back at the Staley Church parking lot, Brad, out of the corner of his keen eye, skillfully and almost supernaturally spots the heat. The fuzz. The blue meanies, if you will, roaring into the parking lot like a bat out of hell. And just like Steve McQueen in Bullet, Brad is up there like shit through a goose. Meanwhile, back at the Milford Street Triangle of Death, John is full of confidence and ready to risk it all. Kevin? Not so much. John shouts at Kevin, "Here is our one and only chance. Go now." Kevin surges forward and immediately catches his shoelace on a fire hydrant, thus rendering their one and only chance null and void as Kevin bumbles into John, knocking him into oncoming traffic, as John's body is beaten and battered around by a Clarksburg cab company cab like a piñata at a Catholic bar mitzvah. Brad has run out of that precious petroleum-based nectar that John, and to a lesser extent Kevin, have unbeknownst to Brad failed to obtain, and hopelessly stuck in a hedge.
Oh, your head!
Brad must now fight to the death to retain this very ill-begotten go-kart that his dad has provided to him, and to a lesser extent his older brother Kevin, all designed to pervert justice in the first place. At this moment, as those dirty pigs leave with Brad's, and let's face it, to a much lesser extent Kevin's go-kart, Brad makes a sacred vow. From this moment forth, he will make all of civilized society suffer. Kevin, however, who is now caught in a self-imposed impossible situation, can either take door number 1, which is to render John with a brick unable to ever give his side of the story, thus saving Kevin years of humiliation. Then there's door number 2. Kevin could remain at the scene, rendering aid and heroically calling 911, like his brother Brad certainly would have done. Or door number 3. Kevin gets the hell out of Dodge, leaving his friend behind in a heap, never looking back. Kevin chooses door number 3. In an act of betrayal so heinous, I hesitate to speak of it here. Brad, meanwhile, beaten and battered, returns home and is greeted at the door by his mother, Dee Dee, who is shocked at his appearance and exclaims, "Oh my lord, what happened to you, by far my favourite child?" Brad explains that while he was at the playground, he spotted a blind man trying to cross the street. Brad, being who Brad is, naturally ran to help the blind man cross. And as he was doing so, a pumpkin fell from the sky and smashed him in the head and face. Brad exclaims, "That's some crazy shit, huh, Mom?" As his mom hugs him in relief, those other 2 walk into the room. Brock and Loretta possibly. No, wait, it's Pedro and Letitia for sure, I think. Mom tells Brad lovingly, "Go sit on the couch, honey, and I'll get you and those other 2 some ice cream." And, as almost an afterthought, Mom then asks, "By the way, not for nothing, but where's Kevin?" Brad takes a deep breath, looks his mom in the eyes, and then lays it all out there on the table. The good, the bad, the ugly. "So here it goes, Mom. The word on the street is that Dad, John, and to a lesser extent Kevin, are somehow involved in the theft of a red go-kart. Last I heard, John is in the hospital. Kevin is on the run. Kevin wants to be a florist. And Dad? He's at the Eagles Club buying me, and to a lesser extent Kevin, a mini-bike." Brad then exclaims, "By the way, Mom, this is the best motherfucking ice cream I have ever had."
Midnight at the Oasis.